There is a lot of literature on how term sheets get structured. There are 5 or 6 things that can be counterintuitive but are standard as part of term sheets, and things like liquidation preference, things like affirmative rights, things like drag-alongs and tag-alongs. So I think before you start going to the market, it will be good if you read this up on the net. There's a lot of good literature available, or talk to other entrepreneurs who have raised money who understand these terms. Because some of these terms can appear to be fairly aggressive if you're hearing about them for the first time, but it's important to understand the intent behind them and in what situations do they kick in. And if you've done that pre-work, you can have a far more intelligent, informed, and productive conversation with prospective investors than if you are hearing of these things for the first time in front of the investor. So I would encourage entrepreneurs to educate themselves, to talk to people who've been through the ride, and then form their point of view on what is acceptable to them and what is not. Some of these terms acquire importance when you're looking at a certain kind of an investor. So for example, if you're looking at a strategic investor, you want to make sure that the amount of information that's accessible to them is something that you're comfortable with, and more importantly, the kind of exit rights they have is something that you feel comfortable with. So very often when our companies go in for next round financing with strategic investors, we watch out for their exclusive right to invest, or their exclusive right to acquire the company, or their first right of refusal. So, these are some of the things that you might want to be careful about as you look at special class of investors who might have other interests in your company that are not necessarily convergent with the financial interests that you might have. The thread of culture is something that I'd like to see being more consistent across the organization, across the growth of the organization. In fact, the most important reason why you want to have a culture is to run the organization in a way that you feel comfortable with, that you think has relevance to your business, and to ensure a degree of consistency as it grows. However, in terms of skill sets and organization structures, the organization evolve a lot from the day you start to when you become a large company. I think the trick in this is to be able to anticipate what changes you need before you need them. Very often organizations fall behind that curve, and that creates a drag on the growth and value creation in the organization. So as entrepreneurs, I would encourage you to think about what your organization needs to look like a year from now, right? What stage of business would you be in? What new complexity will you be dealing with? What kind of resources will you be trying to generate as well as deploy? And make sure that your team is upgraded 12 months in advance rather than after the fact when one of the team members starts being a drag on the company, including yourself. I think great entrepreneurs are good at recognizing when they are hitting their limit, and hence making sure that the team gets strengthened by the appropriate skill sets. But it's really a question on which you need to stay ahead at least 12 months, if not more, rather than to fall behind. One of the examples that we've seen here is, for example, if you're building an internet business, you're starting the company off with search engine marketing, which works great for the first 2 years of the company, and then at some stage you're large enough to say, I want to now go on TV, right? Now, if you want to go on TV, you better have a person with you who's done brand marketing on television before, right? Their input will be required right from whether you should do it or not, what kind of critical mass of budget do you need, what kind of agencies do you want to hire, what has to be your branding message over time, and then the execution aspects of getting the creative done, getting the campaign done, taking feedback from the campaign to say whether it worked or not, what you need to change. It can be extremely destructive to the entire organization to do this without the adequate skill sets on the table. So again, in this case, before your first ad hits the TV screen, you probably have to prepare for all this for 6 to 12 months before that. And hence having that horizon of planning of saying, this is what we think we'll be doing a year from now, and hence let's build skill sets for that today is extremely important.